67 Pakistani nationals have been denied entry into OR Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg. It's alleged that they were trying to enter the country illegally. Officials say the men were intercepted this morning after they allegedly failed an immigration test. Well, let's get the latest now from the Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Motsoaledi. Dr. Motsoaledi, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. So quite an operation it was to uncover these individuals. Just give us a rounded off basis of what exactly happened and how they were able really to get as far as they did.
Good evening, Cathy. Good evening to the viewers and listeners out there. No, thank you very much, Cathy. As we have said in our statement, this was a sting operation. In other words, we planned it. A sting operation conducted by the Hawks, by the Border Management Authority, by the Department of Home Affairs, as well as state security. Because there were certain movements and trends that were not satisfactory. And that's why we staged the sting operation. And indeed, we caught the 67 Pakistanis who were coming in. They were trying to come legally by abusing the newly established e-visa system. You are aware that was established an e-visa system to facilitate the entry of people in the country so that they come in without necessarily being in contact with officials, just by applying online. That's what they were trying to use, but there were a lot of things that were funny, like putting in names of hotel as is demanded by the system, only to find that the hotel doesn't exist, or we phoned the hotel and found that they don't know anything about the booking. But hotels also started complaining that they noticed a large number of Pakistanis who book in their hotels and don't come and taste the space. They don't turn up at all, meaning they are just booking in order to prove to the e-visa system that they are coming in and they are sleeping in a particular hotel, when actually they are just going to sleep into the country.
So based on what then you have discovered, at least in terms of systematically where the weaknesses might be, do you have reason to believe that there may be those who used the same modus operandi but managed to actually come into the country, especially when you hear what the hotels have to say about this?
Well, I don't think so, Cathy, because as I'm saying, you notice certain trends because we know the trends. And remember that when it comes to Pakistani, we've been watching them very carefully since the 15th of July last year, if you remember, when I had to rush to the airport, whereby because we allowed them to transit through OR Tambo when they visit the neighboring countries, to transit without a transit visa. We allowed them that luxury. And they started using it. If you remember, we caught them trying to slip into the country by going through passages made for fire hydrants. So we've been watching them, and anything that doesn't seem to be okay, we catch it immediately. So we've got reason to believe that they've never done that, at least not yet.
In terms of the e-visa system and how it works, Minister, is there a way of actually detecting some of these trends before people arrive in the country, or do you have to wait for them to get here?
No, Cathy. This is how the e-visa system works. In the past, wherever you are inside the country, you go to the embassy in person, apply and interviewed, and everything be done there, and be called back to be given a document which must be pasted in your passport to start moving. In order to facilitate tourism, you apply online, you don't even approach the embassy. If you are accepted, you then receive an email. You just grab that email and rush to the airport. Now, Cathy, we have got a very good system here. That's why it's not easy to enter the country illegally through the airport. Our problem of entering the country illegally is through the land port of entry. At the airport is because in 2010, because we're worried about World Cup, we established a 24-hour operations called APP, Advanced Passenger Plan, whereby any plane that departs from any part of the world are compelled to give us a document called a passenger manifest. This is a document that contains the names of all the people on board. Then we check through all our systems, including Interpol, to see if there's an individual that is not desirable in there. And if we detect one, we tell that airline that so and so must not come in. We depend on the airline not to bring them. Some airlines do bring them, and when we catch them, we charge them 15,000 rand per every passenger, and they must fly that passenger back at their own cost. And that's why it's so difficult to come in. But if you have got documents that look authentic, the airline might not be able to know. They may take you along. But remember, we have got various firewalls. We don't rely on one system. When you arrive, you'll still be interviewed. And that's why these chaps, when they were interviewed, it was very clear that the story doesn't match.
You spoke about the fact that you were watching, in particular, Pakistani nationals that were taking advantage of the system. Are there other groups of people that you're particularly on the lookout for?
Well, we're on the lookout for everybody. That's why we have got immigration officers and border guards all over Cape. I was just mentioning the Pakistanis because last year they gave us a tough time. But also in this case, Cathy, it is unusual to find 67 people from one country in one flight and all coming to say they are coming to visit without there being any particular event that makes so many people visit. Like there's no World Cup, there's 67 people are just in one place saying we are visiting your country. Surely it makes you start looking carefully, and that's why we did this sting operation.
Dr. Motsoaledi will leave it there for tonight. He is the Minister of Home Affairs.
Thank you.